Congress think about the role of the United States in the world? Because we like to think of ourselves in the United States as a force for good.
It makes me a lot more thoughtful and careful about making these decisions. It makes me take my role on the Armed Services Committee incredibly seriously. And it makes me think a lot about the responsibilities that I will have if I am the next commander-in-chief.
You talk to a therapist like once a month, just as a check-in?
I keep in touch with my therapist, the one who helped me through all of this, because I just think it's healthy. It's good practice. It's just like when you get a physical and the doctor says, you know, you should go to the gym, you should go on runs, you should eat healthy. That's exactly what I believe about mental health care. And that's why I'm introducing these policy goals to talk about making sure that every soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine gets regular mental health care checkups just like they get physicals. That it becomes routine, both for active duty and for veterans at the VA. And I hope that that will be a model for the rest of the country. That's why if I'm elected president, I'll make sure that every high schooler in America gets to get a checkup with a mental health care professional. And not only that, but learn how to proactively take care of themselves mentally. I mean, I've become a devotee of yoga and meditation. And I've learned that a lot of the top leaders in the world, a lot of the top CEOs in America believe in that too.
President Trump recently announced he's sending another 1,500 troops to the Middle East. This comes amidst the United States government, the Trump administration, talking about the increased threat from Iran. What do you make of all that?
I think it's incredibly dangerous. And the parallels
to send those troops?
Well, the parallels between how the Bush administration pushed us into war with Iraq and how the Trump administration, under a draft-dodging commander-in-chief, is pushing us into war with Iran are uncanny. But I also think there's a parallel here with Vietnam, where what Bolton and Pompeo are trying to do is put enough troops in the Gulf that there's just a good chance there'll be a Gulf of Tonkin-type incident, the kind of interaction, the kind of altercation that set off Vietnam, that will set off war with Iran. And it's been very clear from things that the Secretary of State in particular has said that that's what he hopes happens. And the bottom line is that we have a commander-in-chief who's not tough enough, who doesn't have the credibility to stand up to these chicken hawks.
Who are you calling a chicken hawk specifically?
Well, John Bolton. He was one who pushed us into war in Iraq. He's trying to push us into war in Iran. And I mean, look, if you saw a definition of chicken hawk in a dictionary, you could see Donald Trump and John Bolton right next to each other. And I think we all know who's the chicken and who's the hawk.
You fought in Iraq even though intellectually you opposed the war. Joe Biden was in the Senate at the time. He voted to go to war in Iraq. Was that a mistake? Does that say something about his judgment?
I have a lot of respect for Joe Biden. He's a mentor and a friend, but I do think that it's time for the generation that fought in Iraq and Afghanistan to step in for the generation that sent us there.
But was it a mistake for him to vote to go to war in Iraq?
Well, I wasn't in the Senate at the time, so I'm not going to say that, but
you even have more, I'm sorry, but that's a cop-out because you were in the front lines. You have more of a right to make a judgment about that vote than anyone I've interviewed who's running for president.
Jake. It was a mistake because we should have been a lot more careful about going into Iraq. We should have questioned the intelligence. We should have made sure that we exhausted every opportunity before we put young American lives in danger.